Chris Forsberg, and on this episode of Garage Tours, we head out to Coupe King in Long Beach, California. Slick and his dad have been collecting and restoring classic BMWs for over 20 years. We couldn't believe some of the rare gems that we found in that shop. Let's go check them out. We're down here in the heart of Long Beach to meet up with the guys over at Coupe King. We were introduced to them through the Clarion Builds program, and they told us to come down and check out their insane vintage BMW collection. Eric.
Hey Chris.
How you doing?
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, man.
So here she is.
This is incredible. So this is Eric from Coupe King. He and his dad have been restoring vintage BMWs for years now, and it's clear that you have an incredible collection. So why don't you tell us how you got started?
Kind of got started as a hobby about 25 years ago. Something me and my old man did in a little bit of a yard, you know, restoring one car, and you end up wanting to buy some parts from a car. So you want a steering wheel and a set of wheels, and that's $300. You can buy the whole car for $500. So you buy the whole car, and then you buy another one, and you know.
And the leapfrog effect.
Yeah, you know, you end up getting some more, and a yard turns into a building, into a bigger building, and you know, kind of mushrooms from there.
Well, I can't wait to dive into some of these builds. Why don't you show us some of your favorites?
At the moment, what we're driving, we've got a couple ultralight CSLs here. These guys are a very special car. These are actually sisters. 1971 BMW made 169, the ultralight CSLs, which is their designation. They were all hand built in batches of 3 off the assembly line. No hood bar, aluminum hood, aluminum door skins. The panels are light gauge steel, so you shouldn't do that very often, but you know, these are just a very rare car. Not many of them survived because they were just horribly expensive. For what one of these cost, you could have damn near bought a Ferrari back then. So
specifically built for speed.
Yep, lightweight, no sound deadening, no frills, no AC, no power steering, nothing.
Awesome.
You know, roll up windows. Just these are the kind of cars you got to be in the mood to drive. You don't want to go sit on the 405 in traffic in one of these.
So the history of the ultralights is kind of like the inspiration of the M-Class. Where does that take us with these two cars?
Now, 71 too, they did the ultralight hand-built cars. 73, they were trying to homologate the CSLs for racing, so they had to build 1,000 cars. They built, which is like this red one. They built 500 right-hand drive and 500 left-hand drive.
Kind of bare minimum.
Exactly the minimum. This is a future restoration candidate, so it's kind of waiting in the wings until we get some time. And the silver one is the last iteration, 74. They made, the end of the run, they made some Batmobiles, but the last 57 of them were like the silver car. They came with the big wing from the factory, they came with the hoop spoiler, so you kind of got the motorsport track package.
Thus the name Batmobile.
Exactly. So,
very cool.
They're actually, the silver ones are probably the most desirable and most sought after. They had a little bit of a stroker motor. But as far as driving wise, I think the ultralight's my favorite. That just kind of feels like a big light 2002.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'd imagine that those would be the most desirable, but guys like you and I would be going for those race ready. So you said this one here is waiting for a restoration, but I don't think you're getting your hands dirty in here. You got a workshop nearby?
Yeah, we do, across the street. Let's go take a walk, I'll show you.
Let's do it. Well, it looks like you have a ton of inventory in here. I imagine just over the years, breaking cars down to the chassis. I see you got one over there on casters. You got some other chassis here, fresh from paint, all the way to full builds. When did you first take a car down all the way to the bare chassis?
I've been doing that for a long time because that's really the only way you can kind of really see kind of what's underneath that paint. You know, you get these cars and they all have a story, and you never know, you know, what the past owners have done. So when you take them down to nothing, you can kind of see, you know, see what all the sins are beneath that paint and know what you're starting with.
You don't only do full restorations to factory form, you do some engine swaps as well.
Yeah, that gets to the heart of the fun thing about BMWs, is they're a driver's car.
Yeah.
So whereas Porsche and Mercedes guys, you need to take, you know, the numbers matching block, and you got to have the right shade of cadmium on your valve cover bolts. And if you don't, you know, go over the car with a Q-tip, then, you know, you get points off your checklist. So they build these cars to drive. So we stick true to the factory, you know, colors, but swapping the engines and upgrading the suspensions as needed to make them run and drive better. is kind of what the fun thing about these cars is.
So why don't you walk us through what this engine came from originally?
BMW made this iteration of the motor called the M30 or Big Six up until the early 90s. And the last run of them was a great motor. 20-something years in production is pretty well sorted. So, we can get, conservatively 220, 230 horsepower to the wheels and about 240 pounds of torque, which for this chassis is a wonderful amount of power. You really don't need more. So this motor, with a few bracket modifications, fits right in. We take the transmission out of an early E12 5 Series, which has a speedo cable, so you upgrade the 5-speed, reinforce the diff. We do a whole reinforcement on the chassis to take the extra power, and the end result is like that car. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. So the M30 inline 6 is kind of the most common engine that you would use, and then
there's
almost all these cars are 5-speed as well, I'd imagine.
Exactly. So the last generation is called the B35, and we use Cerakoting on the manifold, and the blocks get detailed, all new parts, all new sensors. We're running them with Mega Squirt, the standalone fuel injection, so we can program them, and it's just a really kind of wonderful driving car.
I understand that not only do you have a lot of inventory here, but you also reproduce a lot of parts that aren't available anymore from BMW to keep these things alive.
Well, with the conversions that we do, we kind of have to make some parts because BMW, they're getting better, but they still don't support the old car guys as well if they can. So if somebody from BMW Classica is watching, make some more parts for us because we need them, we use them.
Help them out, man. Look what they're doing for you.
So we make exhaust systems for our conversions and the headers and using later manifolds, and we've had to kind of find some stuff that'll work using later parts that are available for weather stripping and moldings, and so it's car restoration. It's a tough business. You have to get creative a lot of times.
Well, Eric, thanks so much for showing us your garage. You have so much stuff here, and would love to see what you guys are putting together. Got any cars around here ready to go? Take something out for a cruise?
I got something for you.
All right, this guy right here. Right?
Not this
Give
one.
a little push.
Nah.
We got even more cars over here.
We got a couple. So this one would probably be a good candidate. This one's probably the fastest coupe we've ever built. 1974 3.0 CS that has a 3.8 liter standalone fuel injection, big power, 260 horsepower, 290 foot-pounds of torque. You'll appreciate this one.
Man, this thing does pick up pretty good. It's got some balls. Oh, it's awesome. Coupe King's garage is a dream come true for any serious collector. I love meeting guys like Eric who are so low-key but truly passionate about what they do. We'll see you next time on Garage Tours.